What's up, everybody? So, by now, you probably all know about the drama that went down on Instagram with Kail and her longtime best friend Mark, who has been featured on Kail's segments of Teen Mom, like from back in the day up until like maybe 2 seasons ago. Well, basically, Kail unfollowed Mark and his girlfriend about 2 weeks ago, and nobody knew why, just speculation. The next week, Kail jumped on her podcast, Baby Mama's No Drama, to say that Mark and his family and their mutual friends planned a trip to Ocean City, Maryland for an entire week. And I'm guessing assumed that Kail would come because they do this like every year for birthdays. And, her and her friends are always getting together. Well, Kail stated that she told Mark no, and she wasn't going to come because she didn't want to pay. She's saving money for, her own trip with her kids. She's basically setting boundaries and explained that Mark and his girlfriend and her other friends were so mad that Kail wasn't coming. But on the podcast, she kind of made it seem like they were more upset that she wasn't going to financially pitch in because she kept speaking of the boundaries and the putting herself first, which didn't quite match up with you just not wanting to go on a vacation with your friends. I don't know, it just seemed like, a little sketchy. She was doing too much. Anyway, she made a whole Instagram story about outgrowing friends and unfollowing her friends whom she doesn't talk to every day, which I personally think, that's what the point of social media is. But I don't know. I personally think Kail is gearing more towards her professional friends that can make her a bag, friends these days such as Lindsay and, the Teen Mom cast and V, and people that she does wallpaper, pairings with and shit. Just people, public figures, other public figures. And I mean, help her make money. It's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do. But so anyway, Mark came out and said that, he washes his hands of Kail. She's not a good person. She's a liar. And he explained that Kail actually cussed him out because on this day that she was supposed to come down to do this one activity she agreed to on the birthday, the plans changed and Kail completely flipped on him. I guess cussed him out because maybe she wasn't prepared for the change of events and she was already on the road. I don't know, but,
Text me. Got so upset. I got text messages in here. Got so upset. Talked to me sideways. Disrespected me. Cursed me out. And gave me this crazy energy, bro. Just going off. Now, anybody that knows my friend, whether you guys know her or not, you know how she can blow up or go off. Okay? Any of you guys know me that may follow me or follow me on the show or what have you. Dude, y'all know me. I'm pure. I'm very pure. I'm very loving. You know what I'm saying? So, when she gave me that energy, cursing me out and going off, I gave her that energy right back. As though anybody would. So now, the fact that I gave her that energy, now all this. So, you mean to tell me all of this happened because of I changed plans and you didn't agree? Okay? Now, there is a lot to talk about.
But it's crazy to me, because people are so shocked and, I'm just not, Even her kids have multiple brand deals now. Kail is all about money these days and who can help her. And she claims that all these people in her life were never genuine and blah, blah, blah. So here's a timeline from when I first started, covering Teen Mom. And, the first person I can think of is when I said, if pick a side is a person, it would be Peach, who was in the earlier episodes of Teen Mom 2, but was described as Kail's friend and her whole maid of honor at her wedding. But later, I discovered that she was actually Javi's childhood friend and was just sick of Kail's bullshit during the divorce from Javi when it got messy. I mean, messy boots. So Peach decided to back Javi, as she should. She grew up with him, but she was also Kail's best friend, so that's just where, the lines got blurred. She grew up with him and, she couldn't believe that Kail was shacking up with her college sweetheart, Chris Lopez, while Javi was deployed. So they actually got into a whole argument where Kail screamed at the girl to get the F out of her house when she came over with Javi to pick up the kids. And she was like, why would you bring her here? You know I don't like her, blah, blah, blah. And it was a whole segment on Teen Mom that they got in a fight, and all of a sudden Peach's name is changed from Killen's friend to Javi's friend. So there's that. So, in 17, we got introduced to Daddy Dom, a lesbian in which at first Kail tried to say was her friend, but started bringing her around the camera more and more and being more affectionate around her, which opened the rumor mill, which was exactly what Kail wanted because, let's be honest, she just wanted to get back at Chris. Well, the two didn't last long at all because, according to Dom, in a sit down interview with US Weekly, Kail had cheated on her with Javi and Chris.
She did cheat on me with Javi. That was out of her own mouth when she said it. She said they hooked up. I mean, she said that they even discussed hooking up, which is, I guess, all the articles that came out. I questioned her on those articles. She denied it. She said it's just
Next is her redheaded friend Bone. I really don't know where Kail found this girl at, but anyway, in 2018, she fell out with her friend, who was seemingly a good friend to her on the show and was there to be her yes man whenever she complained about Chris. Even tried to fight Brianna de Jesus on the show at the reunion. I really don't know where Kail put his friend from. But in anywho, they allegedly got into it over Chris Lopez and the fact that she ran back to him for like the third time by now. And none of her friends liked Chris. None of them have ever liked Chris because most of these people were friends with Javi as well. Not all of them, but some of them. Some of them just don't like Chris because of the things that Kail has told them about Chris and the things that Chris has done to her, the cheating, the alleged abuse and stuff like that. So I'm guessing that Bone decided to voice her opinion on the fact that Kail had went back to this, abuser, alleged abuser again. And she was cut off. She took to Twitter to say that, Kail did not follow her advice. The advice she gave her to stay away from Chris Lopez, I'm just assuming because that's when all of the issues were going on and blah, blah, blah. And I'm guessing that's what happened. But that also rolls onto the next friend that she lost, and this was in 2020. Now, as far as I know, in 2020, Kail and Bone are back friends or were back friends. But that leads to Becky. It's crazy because Becky is extremely popular. Like, everybody loves Becky. And Becky and Kail, they're like the best friends in the dynamic duo. And Kail knew that. And she saw it as a business opportunity. Like I said, Becky is extremely popular. So they hatched this idea to have this podcast called Chaos After Dark, I believe. Becky was pretty much in her own right. She had merch and stuff like that. And Kail used to big her up all the time. So, yeah, Becky has a nice following herself and she has a nice business herself. So I don't really remember what happened. I remember one time on my old page, comment below if you guys remember this. Somebody sent an anonymous tip to my inbox about Kail and her friends being loud and rude to wait staff at a restaurant in Delaware, and Becky immediately stepped in to say that that was not true. They would never be rude to anybody, and Kail has a heart of gold and stuff like that. And I think a few weeks later they announced this podcast, and then all of a sudden everything was gone off the podcast. Becky and Kail had unfollowed each other, and people are still trying to figure out what the real reason was, but people are suspecting it has something to do with Chris Lopez. So all of these so far has gotten to do with one person, the person who ruined her marriage. And it takes two to tango, but I'm just saying the person who ruined her marriage and all these friendships is just starting to be this one person. That's wow. So this next person is Shayna. And a lot of people might not remember her, but she was in a couple episodes of Teen Mom 2, and Kail blasted MTV execs all over her social media because she did not like the fact that they referred to Shanika's daughter as Shanika's child in the description. I don't know if it was really something to get mad about, but she did. And that's how the world was introduced to Shanika. I think this was a short-lived friendship. Most of you guys remember Shanika from her Instagram username because she was always in my comment section defending Kail and talking mad cash money-ish about Chris Lopez and about how he ain't had no job at Amazon and he cut hair on the side and, cussing him out, cussing his mom out, saying that Chris barged into her party that Kail threw for her and started cutting up and trying to fight everybody. And she just told a bunch of tea in my comment section, and according to her, Kail was giving everything the green light that they could say all of this stuff. So Kail was pretty much behind the scenes telling them what to say. Whatever, I don't know. But that's not the reason they fell out. Now, Shanika's page has always been private, and she has never accepted any of the fans onto her page. So when a tipster came into my inbox and said that Shanika and Kail unfollowed each other, I'm like, how would anybody know this tea? Because you won't accept anybody's friend request. I've been on your wait list for like 2 or 3 months right now. But I was just like, entertaining the conversation. I was like, why? So the anonymous tipster goes, insider said Kail was talking shit behind her back to Natalie. I'm like, who is Natalie? She's like, the white girl Kail is always with now. That's jealousy, #1 red flag. I was like, you got a picture or at? I never see her with anyone except Becky or Mark, which is true. I really didn't see her. I didn't really see Natalie. Natalie had just came into the picture. So there was room for jealousy there because her friend, which is now her friend / nanny, had just came into the picture. So the tipster continues and says she doesn't even follow Becky anymore, and her son is always with the boys, meaning Natalie's teenage boys. And I said, people think it's because, Kail went back to Chris and made Shanika look like a fool for sticking up for her. So then the tipster starts taking up for Shanika and says, oh, she definitely didn't go back to Chris. She doesn't even talk to Chris. How would you know that? And the person says, I don't think Shanika looked like a fool. She was just defending her friend. Now, let me say allegedly, because to this day, I really don't know if it was Shanika and neither does Kail, but they had almost the exact same username. And I don't understand how a random troll would know that Shanika and Kail aren't following each other anymore unless they wanted the information out, and how they know for certain that Chris doesn't talk to Kail or Kail doesn't talk to Chris anymore. Like, how would you know that? Like, I feel like you gave yourself away. However, I posted it on my page because that's obviously what this person wanted me to do. So naturally, Kail hopped in my inbox and asked me, could I tell her who sent her that? I'm like, yeah, like, I don't give a fuck. And Shanika hopped in my inbox too. I don't know if this was to cover her trails or what, but she's like, yo, who sent you that information? So it's like, So Kail told me that the same person had been harassing her about Chris for a while, and that she had a hunch that it was Shanika because the name was so similar. Allegedly, she really thinks it's her. So, I was just sending what the person had been sending me too, because this same troll account had been in my inbox for a while, and we were just comparing notes, and she really thought that it was Shanika. But I have to say allegedly because I don't know. Then she tells me another reason why she thinks that it's Shanika is because Mark and Alana had told her that Shanika was texting them, telling them that she felt some type of way because Kail was getting closer to Natalie, which is now her nanny / best friend. And it's just like this whole friend circle is messy. Like, you had the dude, I don't even know his name because he's not around anymore. He was at her Friendsgiving or whatever a while back. You had him coming at my neck and telling me to suck his DICK and stuff like that for the stuff I was putting up. But meanwhile, y'all were being messy as hell. Like, comment under my page and acting like y'all like so invested in Kail and y'all love her, and running troll accounts behind the scenes and harassing her about Chris and thinking it's cute and that you're not going to get caught and that people are not going to put 2 and 2 together. And not only that, but y'all are supposed to be friends, but yet y'all are going back and telling Kail something that Shanika confided in y'all about. I know that Kail's probably been y'all friend longer. I think that Alana's Mark's girlfriend, but I don't know for sure. So Shanika is confiding in you guys that she feels some type of way that Kail has pretty much ditched her for Natalie, and y'all go back and tell her, and then she in return just unfollows Shanika. I guess she outgrew Shanika in the little bit of 3 weeks that she knew her. But she said she's never done anything to Shanika. She even threw Shanika a party, the party that Chris Lopez crashed, and that she's just gonna wash her hands and she don't fuck with Shanika at all. And I was just like, oh, okay. I want to point out that this same troll page has been in my inbox since I've had my old page. So it just goes to show that really, if you have a hunch about something, it's probably right, and you probably can't trust people. And majority of the information did come from troll accounts like this. And I feel like Kail does need to check her surroundings and that all her friends might not be genuine. In this case, I give Kail leadway because I'd be damned if y'all remember my old page, the tea was hot about Kail Lowry.